One, in this video and in the next video, we're going to look more closely at occupational licensure incorporation, rights in America, some history, and more. A quote from Ron Paul, who's a medical doctor and congressman from Texas, says, "Let us allow physicians, hospitals, and schools to spring up where they are needed, abolish the restrictive licensure laws, and simply invoke the laws against fraud to ensure honesty among all providers of health care. That will make health care affordable for everyone." And we go on with a quote from Steve Nestor, an IRS senior officer, former IRS senior officer, who said, "I am not the only IRS employee who's wondered why churches go to the government and seek permission, i.e., incorporate, to be exempted from a tax they didn't owe to begin with, and to seek a tax-deductible status that they've always had anyway. Many of us have marveled at how church leaders want to be regulated and controlled by an agency of government that most Americans have prayed would just get out of their lives. Churches are in an amazingly unique position, but they don't seem to know or appreciate the implications of what it would mean to be free of government control. So, as you're probably aware, and this veil has lifted for so many in the past few years, we realize that the things that we do to be good citizens, these things that we want to be complying because we want to be good citizens and pastors and business owners and healthcare practitioners, those things only enslaved us and gave control to government agencies and the money machine. So a license is permission to do something that is otherwise forbidden, but was never illegal to begin with, and implies that the activity in question is a privilege, not a right, and it's given by a government or licensing board as that privilege or benefit. The state or board can withdraw the privileges at any time, and the purpose is to restrict activity and control the profession or the activity. Relatably, incorporation is permission from the government to do business and is a contract with the government to adhere to their rules and their regulations, and gives up power and authority to the state. The state can withdraw permission at any time, and the state restricts entry and controls the activities of the corporation. If you like this content, please remember to like, subscribe, and share this video and this channel. So did you know that in early America, chiropractors and osteopaths and herbalists and naturopaths and more, they all offered healing services and healing schools and clinics operated without government control or interference and restriction. In fact, for the first century, very few licensing laws in the healing arts existed, and the American founders opposed licensing because that was a common practice in England. People believed in a right to work, a right to freedom of choice for practitioners and consumers, and that the government was to remain neutral to protect the above, not overreach, and then decide who works and who does not. Laws against fraud and negligence protected the consumer. So many people use private practitioners and private associations and community health associations. And if people couldn't afford healthcare, even though the costs were very low, then the churches and community services helped pay for those who couldn't afford care. Directly related to the control that licensure places upon the practitioner and the individual seeking healthcare, the real government purpose for incorporation, and especially in the case of churches claiming 501c3, not the nonprofit or the charitable organization, but the churches claiming 501c3 federal tax exempt status, is government control over incorporated entities and churches, not to free churches from paying taxes or to give them tax exemption and privileges. The First Amendment to the United States Constitution states Congress shall make no law respecting an establishment of religion or prohibiting the free exercise thereof, or abridging the freedom of speech or of the press, or of the right to people peaceably assemble and to petition the government for a redress of these grievances. Now, notice that the amendment says no law. And as the Supreme Court said, no law means no law. And by the way, 501c3 is a law made by Congress, and when applied to churches, respects an establishment of religion and prevents the free exercise thereof. Now, you may be asking or wondering, why then are we following the law made by Congress for the tax code 508C1A for banking purposes only? Great question. This law is in favor of the separation of church and state, keeping the state out of the church, not incorporating said church. So this leads us to, what about responsibility on the healing practitioner or the minister or a healing ministry? A healthcare practitioner that works in the private domain becomes more responsible for their actions and tend to give better care to their people. Doctor and patient have more of a human-to-human relationship and work together to support healing. The practitioner is not beholden to a licensing board or a government telling them what they can and can't do, suggest, or recommend. As for incorporating a faith-based association, ministry, or church, the governing authorities never had any business telling them what they can or can't say from the pulpit, in the community, or to the lives and families that they are there to support on their spiritual walk. Of course, we all know of those situations where substantive evil has been perpetuated upon clients and members of healthcare practice or a spiritual society. And these things are against the law, and justice should be served, not the use of incorporation or a licensing board that protects their own, which we know happens too many times. Licensing and incorporation do a poor job of protecting the public. Existing criminal laws are much better for that purpose, and when upheld, are a much better deterrent against bad behavior. As you investigate the options that are best for the people that will come to you for healing care and for your family and purpose in the world, this may or may not be a challenging conversation. Keep the faith, keep learning more, and stay tuned for the continuation of this topic in the next video. If you are someone who wants to set up an unincorporated church, remember you can book a free consultation. The link is in the notes below. Many thanks for the content, and credit go to Dr. Lawrence Wilson, Gerald Finney of the Biblical Law Center, Gary North and the Christian Observer, and again, links are below. We'll see you in the next video.